everyone, I'm Ishani and I'm so excited to be part of this fun YouTube hop to inspire you and showcase to you the Meraki Shimmer and Meraki Summer release. We're also giving away Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil machine to one randomly chosen lucky winner. All you have to do is hop along all the videos in the hop, follow everyone and leave a comment on all the stops for your chance to win. My cards today will feature this gorgeous stamp set called Monet's Garden, which has been illustrated by Emily Midget. And to tell you the truth, I love big floral stamp sets, but they do intimidate me. Because no matter how much I love coloring, I really do not have time for every time coloring such big floral stamps. And so today I have 4 ideas for the days when you're not in a mood to color, or you want some quick cards, or you just want to take out these floral stamps and use them creatively. So let's go ahead and see what do I do for my first card. I've taken an A2 sized wine colored cardstock, and because this is a big floral stamp and I will not be able to use my magnets, I'm using some washi tape to adhere my card onto my surface of stamping platform and make sure that it is at the place where I want the flowers to stamp. Then I treat my cardstock with anti-static powder and I am using Vesamark to stamp the whole floral stamp on my card. This is going to be a 1-layer card, but will have some elements on it, some die cuts, but this will be the main face of the card. One of my favorite techniques to do is heat embossing. It makes the card look wow, and I also love to use colored cardstocks. If you combine colored cardstock and do some clear heat embossing on it, you get such beautiful tone on tone effect. And I'm going to do the same for this card. I'm using clear embossing powder and heat emboss the whole floral stamped image of my card. And here you can see the magic happening. This is one technique which is wonderful to be used when you want to make multiples, when you want to make cards in bulk, because it does not take much time but gives a great effect. Next I'm using this miraculous mini slimline die, but will die cut only a few of the butterflies, which will be used as embellishments on my heat embossed background. For the sentiment, I'm using this hugs die. This die cuts 3 words and I'm using the innermost for my sentiment for the card. And here are the die cut butterflies from this die I showed you. And now I'll be pressing these die cuts onto the Vesamark to get them sticky. And then pour rose gold embossing powder over them and heat emboss. I will do the same step 3 times to get a good coat of rose gold effect. All these supplies are linked in the description box, and I hope you will check out the amazing products on the Crafty Meraki website. After the embossing is done, I adhere my sentiment and butterflies around the panel. I'm using liquid glue and I keep something heavy so that the die cut sticks on. And here you have a quick card without the hassle of coloring. It's time to get your colored cardstocks out for some tone on tone beautiful heat embossing. I hope you like this idea. Let's move ahead and see what do I have next for you. You will agree with me if I ask you which are the most difficult cards to make. I think they are the sympathy cards, and especially when you've lost someone, you would want to give flowers, but then you do not have the mojo of coloring. Now my next example is a very simple way to make some sympathy cards, or maybe for any other occasion too. I'm taking a white card front and I will stamp my full floral image on this. But before that, I am making a little mask with the masking paper. I'm tearing out the edges to get some zigzag edges for my sentiment. In this masked space, I will stamp my sentiment later. I stamp the whole floral image with pigment ink and do the same thing that I did for my last card. Clear heat emboss this floral image. I'm using clear embossing powder all over the image and heat emboss it. For the sentiment, I'm using a stamp from Yuva Special Stamp Set. This is Thinking of You, and I am going to first use some anti-static powder and stamp my sentiment and heat emboss it again with clear embossing powder. For assembling the card, I am taking a top folding A2 size black cardstock. I'm going to foam mount my panel on the black cardstock, and the way I've used a rectangular shape to mask for sentiment, you could also die cut any of the shapes, heart shape or a circle, and stamp the image over the masking paper. Because the card looks a little extra plain, I want to add this beautiful ebony opal gems by Crafty Meraki. The selection of gems by Crafty Meraki are just wow. If you've not had a look, do not forget to check at least the embellishments. They are like a must-have. I hope you like this idea. This is also a quick way to make multiple cards. You could just add a little masking to add your sentiment on almost a one layer card. I hope you like this idea. Let's go ahead and see the next card. How many times have you used a large floral stamps and just did some selective stamping? I'm going to use the selective stamping technique for my next card, and I've selected this big beautiful flower which I will be stamping, and I'm taking a paper and stamping my big floral image with Vesamark, and this time I'm going to heat emboss it with white embossing powder. And now, because my flower is ready, it is time to get some coloring done. And because we are looking for ideas when you don't have to sit and watercolor or do some Copic coloring, I'm going to add color with some inks, and I'm using some distress oxide inks to add color to my leaves and some distress oxides in pinks for my flower. You can add depth inside the flower by using a darker color shade. I'm using two shades in my flower and as well as my leaves. After ink blending, I wipe off the excess which is sitting on my white embossed lines. And here is my flower, but to give it more definition, I'm going to cut it out so that it is one separate flower. I'm going to keep some leaves as I cut it. And I'm going to do a little cheating by using pencil colors to create little depth to my flower. I'm just going to use the shades in pink similar to or a little darker to the color of my flower, and I'm going to just color the nooks and crannies of each petal. This would instantly lift up the flower and give it more dimension, and actually it is like very easy to do. Does not take much time. For my card base, I have taken a white colored card base and I'm going to ink blend similar inks as of my petals, but I'm going to use a little darker shade. I'm using Emerald by Altenew because this was the darkest shade that I had, and added it on the side where there would be a flower so that the shadow of the flower is falling onto the paper and hence it is darker. And for adding a little more texture, I'm using this Parisian Meraki Paradise. This is A2 background dye which is so beautiful, and I have used it for many cards, not just florals but also for critters. It creates this beautiful background and looks so pretty. And here we have this beautiful background for my flower. I am going to mount my flower on 3D foam tape. And because the edge is looking a little white, I add a little green color on the edges as well. And then I mount it with strong glue on a white colored card base. And for the sentiment, I am taking this die by Crafty Meraki, Happy Birthday. I am only going to use Happy, for which I have taken a silver shiny paper for the shadow. And I have done some Ombre Ink blending for Happy, the innermost die cut word. And adhered them together. And Birthday is stamped on a strip of paper. And to add a little bling again to my card, I am using this beautiful Divine Illusion sparkles. They are so pretty. They have this pink sheen to them. And I arrange them near my sentiment and 2 of them under the leaves. And here is my card, which is pretty, and using a big floral stamp and just using one of the flowers for your card. Isn't that a cool idea? I hope you liked it too. The next card will have a lot of gold heat embossing. I am using some anti-static powder over my red colored card base. This is going to be an anniversary card, so I picked up Happy Anniversary sentiment from the wedding bouquet stamp set, and red because yeah, Happy Anniversary has to be in red. I stamp my sentiment with Vesamark and put some gold embossing powder over it and heat emboss the sentiment. I started with the sentiment first because my next design uses this sentiment as focus, and around the card now we are going to stamp our floral stamp. So we've stamped the whole stamp, we've stamped just a flower. Now let's stamp in a way that it makes a floral frame. So I take sections of the stamp and I'm going to stamp them around the edges of my cardstock with Vesamark, and then add gold embossing powder and heat emboss it. There will be places where the stamped images may overlap, but for that I am going to brush off the excess gold embossing powder and heat set it so that there is no overlap of the stamped lines. I share many card making techniques on my YouTube channel, so do not forget to check out my other videos to get some great use of your supplies. After the heat embossing, I thought of adding some more color around the frame so that the focus goes onto the sentiment. I'm using various reds that I had in my stash to create a border which is darker. I would also be using brown color because that will create some great depths. After I was happy with my frame and ink blending, I mount my card base on a beige top folding card base. And I have these gorgeous gold opal gems to bling up my anniversary card, and I adhere them, and ta-da! Here is our last card. Beautiful and simple to make and makes you use your stamp creatively. I hope you liked all the ideas. Do not forget to check the next video, which is linked down below, and continue the hop. I hope you're having a great time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.